afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, July 6, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. You want to make sure you're in a comfortable position with no outside distraction, relaxed into your body, still as a statue and focused on your natural breath rising and falling. Most of us who feel unhappy in life are burdened by some inner weight. We get caught in the mind, avoid our pain, chase after control, and try to numb ourselves from what is upsetting. We forget how to trust in the simplicity of now. And we lose touch with the truth that this moment is the only place where the source lives. There's no need to be pulled into that illusion. At any moment, it's possible to choose a different path, one that lightens the spirit, invites joy, and gently softens the edges of who we think we are. Rather than getting swept up in media and its fear-based control programming, it's possible to stay rooted in the heart, to become more open, more attuned, and more sensitive to the aliveness of life itself. Most of us will find that the real secret to enjoying this life is letting go of the urge to force anything and following the flowing ease of the water-like way. This life of great ease lives in devotion to simplicity, truth, love, and the joyful act of serving others. When we remember that everything in life comes and goes, everything, we begin to meet each moment with more lightness, appreciation, grace. The feelings of pressure, anxiety, worry, and urgency all take a back seat. We remember that they will dissolve the moment we fall asleep tonight. So why grip so tightly right now? Something inside us already knows there's a softer way to live. Not someday, not after we've healed everything, but right here, right now, in this breath. And if we dare to follow the thread just a little further, we will uncover the one thing the ego cannot take or fake, and the soul never forgets. The next section reveals that the mind fears most, what the mind fears most, and what the heart has been longing for all along. You keep going. What's waiting will change everything. Sincerity opens the door to the divine, but it is the relaxed heart that walks through it. Sri Muktananda. Muktananda. The art of taking life lightly. How many of us take life lightly? That's a toughie. When we let ourselves laugh at how serious we've become about life, we drop the armor and our nervous system receives permission to relax. We return to inner peace. We stop pretending that fear rules the universe and begin living from the truth that love is the only thing that is really real. choose a path of freedom and lightness means that whenever we feel stress, overwhelm, or demands from the world, we give them our full attention. Yet from a place of lightness and non-reactivity, life then becomes a playful, creative invitation for how we will next return to our natural state of flow. Life is always calling us to drop the weight and float. You often hear me say, but people say, how you doing? I go, I'm floating along. Always inviting us home in each new moment. We simply need to ask how we can meet each experience with a lighter heart and a freer mind. The path of lightness and freedom is not about pretending things do not matter, because they do. It is not about avoidance or denial. It is the path of true sincerity of the heart, one that allows the soul to expand and breathe. Most of this world will still be playing their games of political intensity, overcoming moral issues, pretending life is grim, effortful, and hard. But when we shift to seeing life through the 10 lens of lightness, everything becomes divine play. We shift our perception, and the entire world changes with it. We remember that life, this life, is a grand stage, and we are the playful actors here to embody our role in the cosmic dance. So, on this path to freedom, we are choosing curiosity over contraction, allowing joy more than fear, and remembering that happiness is always closer than we think. We realize that this now moment is the only place where the divine exists and can meet us fully from the heart. Stop trying to become, and you will realize you already are. Being is the doorway to bliss. Swami Abhayananda. When we stop chasing lightness and simply drop inside, the light follows us in. This is how freedom is found, and grace magically can enter. Nothing is forced. Everything is welcome with ease and joyful flow. When we commit to staying free from the mind's old control patterns, the ego cannot survive or remain attached to its heaviness and drama. Joy breaks everything wide open. We dive into laughter, and its piercing exuberance cracks the other's hardened shell. And when the shell breaks, light immediately floods in. We find an instant connection with the divine, which has nothing to do with appearance or anyone's opinion. The ego is only a shadow with no substance. Why are you knocking at every other door? Go knock at the door of your own heart. Rumi. You are not the personality, you are the presence. When the shadow is seen through, the sun shines effortlessly. Ama Nithyananda. Lots of people, more and more I would say, they're discovering that their ego is an illusion. Right? And they're looking within to determine how to move beyond it. We know that our ego is not who or what we are, by far. Yet, it still cons us into believing that it is. We know the ego is only an idea and not a spiritual reality. We all know the truth. So why can we not remember it and live fully in the sacredness of each moment, making the divine our highest priority? In order for real miracles to manifest, we must return to the lightness of our being. When we say yes to the frequency of taking everything lightly, being devoted to being gentle with others and ourselves, walking ever so softly upon the earth, the light just pours into us wherever we go. We feel like golden rays of sunshine streaming through an open window. We do not have to make it happen. We simply open and receive the divinity that is present in every direction. It is good to know that the divine is never heavy. It is not serious. Why would it be? It's infinite in all directions and dimensions. So seriousness cannot take root. The divine is wild, radiant, unpredictable, and deeply alive. The divine is never trying to control us. The divine is what brings us into laughter, radiance, and deep eternal love. We can instantly drop our mental weight by choosing to become vessels for the divine love to flow through. Our soul's purpose is to discover the divine in the everyday. When we trust in that exploration, we can feel freedom moving through every part of our being. We may also continue to ignore the divine. We might choose to cling even tighter than before. And in that experience, we will notice bliss retreating even further away. This is the right experience. Just like the hand pulls away the moment it touches a hot stove. Eventually, with enough pain, the ego lets go of its grip and surrenders, allowing the soul to remember what it came for. Always find time for the things that make you feel happy to be alive. The soul speaks in stillness. The mind only echoes noise. Paramahansa Yogananda. Feeling the lightness that's here now. When we can remember that our mission is to learn how to laugh, let go, and love, life instantly gets easier. We all came here to explore the meeting of being human and divine at the same time. We were invited to this earth as innocent babies with our eyes and hearts wide open. So the more we can return to our original innocent nature, the more light pours in, and bliss becomes our natural state. We do not have to let go of control and fear every day. It's an opportunity, a healing choice that leads to real freedom. This is one of life's great secrets. When we shift our relationship with the mind, from having to have to get into it, everything changes. By seeing life through the lens of opportunity consciousness, we turn our pain into a healing path. We shift needing more control to requesting more clarity. Heaviness turns into lightness. And this lighter way of thinking, and over time, at all the heavy emotions we once held onto so reverently begin to fall away on their own. Eventually, the mind will yield to the heart. The heart always wins, even if it takes 1,000 more lifetimes. Eventually it does. We do not have to force any big shift. We can simply return to what is already true and easy inside. As the path clears, fear fades, and we remember why we came. Some days we might feel like we need to remain heavy and be responsible. Maybe the mind worries about money, bills, and managing life. But there are no pockets in heaven. Nothing comes with us. And one day, this body that we are all in will come to complete rest. And the only thing we take with us is our consciousness. So we ask ourselves, how much time are we living in that? And how much are we lost in the weight of this world? There are no goodbyes because we don't die. We transform. So see you forever. See you in the next dimension when our souls are free. What you cling to disappears. What you love becomes eternal. Baba. Purnananda. Finding freedom from ego. We weren't born to carry massive burdens on our chests and be worrying all day long. We came here to live, to learn, and to play. Worry is something learned. Remember that. Worrying is something learned. It's a mask we can choose to set down. When we remember who we are, the masks all fall away. The divine is seen and heard whispering to us. Trust. Breathe. Know that you are deeply loved. And yes, life is hard sometimes. Difficult, challenging. But even death brings something new. Every ending holds a new beginning. And when the mind spins, we start with gratitude. We name what we are thankful for. We let that soften us. We let the heart lead us back into the softness of being. Here we easily remember that freedom is our birthright. Lightness is our true nature. The divine is already within us, simply waiting for the striving to end. So we let go. We receive. We remember. And that is how the light gets in. Surrender is the only strength that leaves no wounds. Swami. Sat Chid Dananda. It's good to know that any heaviness that you experience in this life is solely because you're playing a game with your ego. It gives us a false sense of control, but never can deliver real peace. The ego narrows our vision, locks us out of joy, peace, and truth. We cannot find those higher enlightened states through egoic control or force. We only find them by letting go and surrendering to what is. We cannot find those higher enlightened states through egoic control or force. We only find them by letting go and surrendering to what is. And when we stop gripping so tightly, the heart opens, the mind expands, and our whole being lifts up into the stars. This great enlightening shift doesn't come from effort. It comes from remembering that we are eternal light. We are already one with the source. And yes, life will bring its storms of illness, loss, and fear. Chaos is what stretches us and invites us into becoming someone greater. We came here to feel it all. The challenging experiences and the celebratory ones. They all come and go and are there to remind us how precious the divine lightness truly is. Only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So we come here to experience physical material life along with divineness of who and what we truly are. So we're in a body, but we know we're God. That's it right there. There's no question, no hesitation, no doubt, nothing. It's all through heart-mindedness. We also discovered that the ego mind is an illusion. It isn't real. Never has been, never will be, ever, beyond, and forever. It is placed there. It is placed there so that we can master it. And by master it, we become aware. We experience. And we master it. The only way to master the ego mind is through the heart mind. You can't do it any other way. Although many have tried throughout the ages, to no avail. So we're here to enjoy things. Life can be challenging. The reason it's challenging is why. So we learn. What would happen if you review, let's say you review your life, okay? Not as a judgment, but as observation. And you were to say, now, if I didn't do all of this, if I hadn't experienced all of this, where would I be with that? Interesting question to ask oneself. Well, a lot of us will say, we think about it first. We don't zip right into it with a knee-jerk response. We kind of ponder about it, and then we say, well, to be perfectly frank, if I hadn't experienced these things in this life, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't know what I know today. Even though at the time we've experienced things that were pretty darn challenging. Right? I mean, divorces, financial destitution. I mean, there's some heavy-duty things that can occur in our lives. But you would think that, someone's used to having a roof over their head and everything, and then they become homeless. And then that happens to them, another couple of times. And then they're asked, would you experience that again? What if you did not have to experience it? No, but because it taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about me. Taught me a lot about the God that I am within the body. And see, we know that this life is temporary. We don't address it because of our the fear, which is basically false. Fear is an illusion. Just like worry, stress, anxiety, anger, hate. These are all illusions. If someone is very hateful, it means that that's basically love under pressure. A lot of us experience love under pressure. We get angry, we get frustrated, say things to other people that we later wish we hadn't said. You learn something, and if you think things, which you do in certain situations, you might think them, but don't ever say them. See what I mean? A lot of us will say them, and that causes emotional issues with others. Think them, keep them to yourself, but don't say them, because the emotionality of humanity is so sensitive. You're not hiding anything. You're just aware. And we learn, we experience it. We would be, really like bumps on a log or slugs in the mud if we did not have these experiences in our lives. This is why we create them. It doesn't mean we knowingly create them, as we all are aware, but we create them. Right? If your life was just a kick easy, easy peasy slip and slide, it would be fun at first, but I can guarantee you that after a while we would become really, really, really bored. And we would absolutely create things that you normally wouldn't create just to spice it up. So, we have this, which I think it's phenomenal that we identify the fact that the ego mind is an illusion. And the only way we master it is through ego mind, is through heart mind, and through meditation. When you go into meditation, everything is now. It isn't yesterday, it isn't tomorrow, it's just now. And the ego mind, as I've said numerous times, does not exist in the now. It can tempt you, thought-wise, to pull you out of the now, back into yesterday and tomorrow, which happens. That happens, you just start over, you just go back in. You might find yourself doing it numerous times during the course of the day. Just like this big playground we come to. Yeah, you're going to skin your knee at times, you might break a bone, but you're going to mostly enjoy it. We aren't there yet with that. Once we realize that we are a source of divineness housed in a material physical body, once we make that connection and we gravitate to the divine, then we're at the steering wheel. Okay? We steer this vessel. We take it in different directions. You say, I'm going to go over here. I don't know what the outcome of that's going to be, but boy, it really looks interesting. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to immerse myself in that and see where it takes me. Now, here's an interesting analogy. If you could choose this, all right, you're presented with it. Now, you have a choice. Over here is a vehicle that you can get into, and you could just sleep in the back, and it'll take you to a destination. And you'll be asleep, and you won't see anything along the way. And then it'll go to the destination, and you'll wake up and say, I'm at the destination. Right? The vehicle will say you're at the destination. Now you have another vehicle that you guide, that you direct, that you travel, you drive. And along the way, you see everything. You're aware. You're seeing everything along the way before you reach the destination. Now, which one would you choose? Would you choose the vehicle that's going to do it all for you? Or would you choose the vehicle that you do for you? It's a very interesting question. Many of us get so beat up in this life that we would probably say, I'll take the one that's going to do it for me. Now, because of that, you don't learn at all. You just sleep through it all. The other one, you learn, you experience. Now, a lot of people not thinking, I guarantee you, would choose the effortless vehicle, the one that just takes you to destination. You know, you fall asleep, next thing you know, you wake up, you're at destination. If you've ever been on an airplane and you're very tired, well, maybe you got a 3-4 hour flight, not too long, and you just fall asleep, and next thing you know, the flight attendant is waking you up saying that we've arrived at our destination. And of course, you didn't experience anything. You just fell asleep. A lot of us will sleep through life. That's my point. We will sleep through life, not really knowing a lot of things, not picking up much, but yet it's not challenging, so we aren't challenged with it. And there's many of us that prefer not to be challenged. They just kind of skate through. Do we learn? Yeah, we still learn, but we learn very little. And we're here to experience, aren't we? Here to create, experience. Some of the things we create and experience, we go, what the heck was I thinking? You ever said that to yourself? What the heck was I thinking? Goodness gracious. But then you flip over and you go, well, I'm glad I did it because it taught me a lot. I've experienced, you know, I'm thankful. I'm grateful for it. We are seeking the God within that we truly are in a material, physical, organic body. So we end up discovering that we are the divine in a material, physical body. So that means we have conquered the ego mind. And we immerse ourselves into the heart mind. And we're in bliss 24/7. And we create 24/7. And we will continually create things that are some kind, to us, it doesn't necessarily mean everybody, but to us, it's a challenge. It's like, let's put it this way. You say, I remember when my assistant and I got here, we were moving like every couple months. It seemed like we were moving constantly. And you know how moving is. It's not something that people enjoy doing, but they do it. You know, it's an adventure. It's an experience. But you move and you move and you have a new area and you're living out of boxes and you move again and you move again, you move again. And so you do that. Then you really, really, really appreciate sedentary. In other words, you're not moving anymore. You're fixed in one area. But after a while, you begin to get a little antsy because you're so used to moving before, and then you aren't moving, and then again you start saying, hey, it's time to move. You ever done that? But at the same time, you're looking at the move and saying, should I move? You know, not excited about moving, but then at the same time you're saying, maybe it's time to move. Maybe the universe is saying it's time to move. You don't know what the universe has up its sleeve. So do you trust the universe? I mean, this stuff goes on with all of us. I mean, on one time or another in different ways. And it's up to us to determine what are we going to do with that. Because whether let's put it this way, we experience, period. And no matter what we say, we're going to experience throughout this life. It is absolute. Now, you may look at some people and you go, man, it looks like they just float through life, that they don't seem to have any challenges. And they don't seem to have any real heavy-duty, insurmountable events or situations in life. They just seem, nothing really happens to them. They always land on both feet. But see, to you, that's how it appears. To them, they're really being confronted with a lot of things. It might just be emotional. But you see, some people experience things differently than you do. That might just all be within, that they're experiencing turmoil, fear. But on the outside, you couldn't tell it. And then there's the people on the outside that you would think are just miserable people, but on the inside, they're happier than a lark. You really, the old adage, never judge a book by its cover. That's very true. In fact, don't judge, period. Have you ever done that? Have you ever, you get the impression, or you're talking with someone and you hear the voice and you go, wow, I'd like to put that voice, and you create an image, okay, of that being because of their voice and how you interpret that. And then you meet them and you go, holy cow, I never in a million years thought that you would look the way you look right now in meeting you. I had a whole different picture of you based upon your voice. So see, we assume and we guess and we supposize. And most of the time, it's not all the time, but most of the time, we're like way off base. We're totally, and it's like, wow. You look at someone, you listen to their voice, and you think that they're real heavy set and they're big and whatever, and then you look at them and they're as thin as a rail. Or you're talking with someone and they have this deep booming voice, so you figure they're like 6'6", 6'7", and just very large being, and then you meet them and they're very tiny. You ever done that? So this is part of going with the flow. You just float. Always picture yourself in a body of water, right? And you're just floating. And there's all these people frantically, screaming and yelling and splashing and kicking. And you're just floating as they just zoom by. You don't have any interest whatsoever in catching up with them because you're just with you. And you float through life. You've heard me use the analogy of the boats. Everybody has seen pictures or videos or been a part of whitewater rafting, right? And you're going upstream, usually. Sometimes you're going downstream, but the real hardcores will fight it upstream. And then you have the gondolier type boat with the nice lounge and cushions and no oars or anything. It's just sitting there, and the current's real smooth, and it just pulls you along. And sometimes you'll bump land, and you'll get out, and you have no clue where that is or where it's taking you, but you have 100% faith, confidence, and trust in the universe and yourself. Because the unknown is where everything is. And most of the time, we fear the unknown. I'll join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy breath in through the nose and an easy breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body, focused on the natural rhythm of your breath rising and falling. There is nothing you have to do, believe, or prove to be lovable. You do not have to become anyone special or acquire any talent, sum of money, or special gift. You are already so very special. I invite you to relax into this feeling more. Feel the feeling that you are right now, receiving all the love you could ever want and need. Rest deeply tonight in this feeling. Who you are is already lovable now and forever. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here Monday, July 7, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, humble with yourself at all times, being the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest. Eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on within you, nor outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.